What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video going over Week 8 quarterbacks to target on the main slate. So if we're talking cash, there are a few names I'm looking at, and we'll probably dial it down closer to Sunday of who to go for. But if we're talking price per dollar, Tua, full practice at 6,100 against Arizona is in a really, really good spot. Obviously, it's his first game back, but Miami is in a pretty bad situation with how the division may line up. Now, granted, they're in it when it comes to the Jets and New England, but when it comes to trying to catch up to Buffalo or how strong the AFC conference is, you're going to need to get some wins, right? So, Tua in a really good spot. Seen week 1 against Jacksonville, really bad defense there. Puts up 21 DraftKings points. Week 2 against Buffalo, obviously gets hurt. He still played bad in that game. Like, he played a good portion of that game. If I can remember, I think he went at least 3 quarters. Got hurt in the 4th quarter, I believe. But, I mean, didn't do much there against Buffalo's defense, who has been definitely performing well this season. But he gets a really good matchup against Arizona at 6,100. You could go a little lower. Anthony Richardson at 5,800 against Houston. Now, granted, Anthony Richardson has, from a statistical perspective, played worse than Joe Flacco. Like, it's just statistical, like on the field, everything has been worse than Joe Flacco. I think that's very clear. But I also look at the defenses he's faced, right? And this is who he's facing in week 1 again. He's facing Houston, right? Where he put up 27 points. But you look at Green Bay's defense, Chicago's defense, Pittsburgh's defense, Miami's defense. Miami game is, a battle where Miami was... They know they can't win offensively. They're playing defensively, playing a stronger Pittsburgh team, but got hurt. Played a strong Bears team. And then Green Bay has been up and down. In that game, he just played like ass. I'm just being honest. Like, that game was solely ass. Some of the other ones are just tough opponents, so he's got a really good matchup for him, in my opinion, against Houston. So I like that at 5,800. A little cheaper, right? I'm going to throw out Jameis Winston at 5,200. And I don't necessarily love this as a cash play, but if you wanted to go somewhere really, really cheap to afford the good running backs and, wide receivers on this slate, and you could blind stack Jameis, I think. If you wanted to go Njoku, you can. It's very cheap, right? 5,200 for Winston. Njoku is at 5,100, so that's a pretty cheap stack there as well. I will throw out Bo Nix is playable in cash, in my opinion, at 5,600. This one, yet again, I don't love, but a really good matchup for Bo Nix. We look at Bo Nix's, fantasy points, especially per dollar, right? 23, 21, 14, and you're paying, mid to low 5K for him. Another really good matchup for him at 5,600. If we're talking pay-ups, right, Josh Allen against Seattle kind of stands out at 7,800 to where Seattle passes the ball a lot. If they find success in the pass game, this could be a back and forth. Secondary's been banged up for Seattle. You add Amari Cooper, you still have Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, a really set up offense in that one. So Josh Allen, I like the Jaylen Herz, Joe Burrow matchup, right? Jaylen Herz facing Cincinnati, to where Cincinnati's defense has been getting beat in the air. They just have. Philly, gets A.J. Brown back, Devontae Smith back. Last week, 14 pass attempts for Jaylen Herz. 14 pass attempts, and he gets 22 points because he gets 2 touchdowns. The tush push is always going to be lethal for Jaylen Herz and his fantasy points, but he gets a really good matchup here against Cincinnati, to where Cincinnati's offense is really good. I think they're, for the most part, very efficient in what they want to do. You have 2 superstar wide receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Yossi Voss has emerged as a decent slot receiver. They use a mix of Gesicki and all, but I like this matchup. I think if you wanted to, and you can afford based off of some of the guys in the wide receiver tier and tight end tier that we'll talk about in a video on Saturday. That video going out Saturday, we'll talk about some of those opportunities in wide receiver and tight end. But you can afford some of these pay-up quarterbacks. With Joe Burrow, Jaylen Herz, I think it's a very good game to attack. CJ Stroud, definitely for tournaments, CJ Stroud is worth targeting. Now, week 1 against Indy, 18 DraftKings points, has a really good game in my opinion, right? 75% completion percentage, 234 and 2 touchdowns, right? A really good performance. We just haven't seen the same CJ Stroud we're kind of used to. They just haven't needed to be what they were last season offensively. Obviously, Joe Mixon getting in the mix is a positive for this Houston offense. Just makes them that much more lethal. They relied upon him a lot last week against Green Bay, and CJ Stroud. But for tournament, I don't really want to get to him in cash. But in tournaments, yeah, CJ Stroud. I will mention in tournaments as well, Patrick Mahomes at 6,800 against Vegas. His numbers against Vegas are just lethal. So I will mention that. And I can't believe, I apologize, I totally forgot Jordan Love was at 7,100. I botched that. I forgot they priced him up for once. But he's got probably the best matchup you can have with how good Green Bay's offense has been. You get Jordan Love against the Jaguars, to where every quarterback has success against them. And Jaylen Herz has been playing some pretty good pass-heavy football lately, right? 4-2, 4-3 for his passing touchdowns in his last 4 games since coming back. Ridiculous numbers. Clearly, by the passing yards, you haven't had to see outrageous game when they were down against Minnesota. Heavy, yeah, that's all they did was pass the ball. But the other games against Houston, against the Rams, you don't really see it as much. But like I said, a very favorable matchup. And you look at Jordan Love's floor, right? 16.96 has been the lowest game he's had. His price is getting up there. And always the difficult thing when you're playing Jordan Love is picking the pass catcher. Jayden Reed banged up, but I mean, he always has that upside there. You go to Romeo Doubs, you look at him, right? Dontavian Wicks, you look at him in some of his boomer bust games. We'll throw Christian Watson in there, I guess, too. He's been kind of disappointing. But Tucker Kraft, right? Tucker Kraft has been a guy that he's relied upon lately. So picking who's going to be Jordan Love's guy is the challenge. If you double stack, go for it. But at any time, any of those wide receivers could be the wide receiver one for that week. And that is always a difficult thing of picking Jordan Love. Now, it doesn't mean you need to go a Green Bay pass catcher. You could just solo Jordan Love. We've seen success with quarterbacks being soloed before. Is it recommended? No. But for a team like Green Bay, to where you have, 5 pass catchers and any of them can go off, it's very tough to play that one there. I will mention Kirk Cousins against Tampa Bay at 6,200, I think is playable, to where we saw them face off in a primetime game. And Kirk Cousins had, I think, QB1, the most fantasy quarterbacks in a game by a quarterback. 58 pass attempts, 42 completions, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. So I will mention that. My only concern with this, if you wanted to get heavily invested in Kirk Cousins, it's a good matchup for him, right? We just saw him go off. My concern is Tampa Bay lost Godwin Evans. They're very efficient of using the running back, so I will say that. But there's a scenario to where it's a big division game on the road. If Atlanta gets a lead, they're just trying to win the game, right? They're not trying to bury Tampa Bay. They're just trying to control it because they know the injuries on the offense is hurting Tampa Bay. So that's kind of my only concern there. Caleb Williams against Washington at 6K. This one really stands out. If you want an underrated game to attack, it's Caleb Williams against Washington, to where I think Washington, I've said it pretty much all season, I don't think Washington's defense is good. I think they're a bottom 5 defense. Their secondary is very bad. If it wasn't for Dan Quinn, this defense would be that much worse. But they do have a very good defensive coach. But you get all his receivers still healthy. And Caleb Williams the last 2 weeks against bottom defenses, bottom against Carolina, bottom against Jacksonville, he goes off. He gets another bottom defense. So I really like Caleb Williams in this one. And my only concern with this is Washington could be without Jane Daniels. If Jane Daniels is in, I love Caleb Williams at 6K. I do. I love him. If it's Marcus Mariota, it's a lot different. I think Washington tries to control the game. is very aggressive against the Bears offense, and they try to get a defensive win. Other than that, like, if you wanted to go Geno again, Geno continues to pay off for his price point. He just does, right? We've seen him at the mid 5K, goes up to 6,100, 5,800. Now he's 5,900, and he's paying off at all his price points, right? Hitting basically 3x almost every game is what you would like out of your quarterback, especially when you're paying 58 to 6K. I don't think that's a tough price point at all. So, other than that, I don't really have any more quarterbacks as of right now on my target list. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys are looking for the running back video, that will be going out tomorrow. And then Saturday will be the wide receivers and tight ends. And we will have a live stream on Sunday. So tune into that. If you guys are interested in joining us, our website is live, where we have not only the main slate, but the showdown slates to target as well. So if you guys are interested in any of that, check that out. And I will see you guys in the next one.